What's going on, everybody? Genobit94 here. Welcome back to the P-36A build day number 2. And today, I'm going to show you guys what we've done so far. And we're going to move on to the wing areas. I want to work on those wings today. So here is our cockpit from last time. As you can see, we haven't done a whole lot of work. It's just very basic. We put those strips of styrene in there to try to simulate the trenches that you would put your feet into. I'm not sure if it works, but it's good for right now. You might have to do a little more work on that later on. The engine is also completed. It's just a 3-step process. It's a 2-cylinder banks, the front engine, and then the back part. And we also have the control panel right here. So the instrument panel is drilled out. We have their center hole, that's all filled. So now we're ready to move on from there. And the cockpit itself, guys, I've been looking at it, studying it, and it's just, I don't know, there's something kind of off about it. You put it up inside the fuselage and it looks like it's too tiny. So I'm thinking the fuselage sidewalls are actually too thin. They need to be thicker, have more 3-dimension to them. But I'm not going to do anything to that right now because I want to get this guy hooked up, get this attached on with the decals behind it, and hopefully that's going to look all right. So I don't know. But like I said, I want to mainly focus today on the wings. And let's take a look at the bottom of the wings here. And I was doing some research off camera here, and these little, these 3D things here, we've kind of been trying to figure out what these are. I'm assuming originally that they were dive brakes, but I don't think that's the case. I want to say they're actually for a bomb rack. That's what I think. They're actually a bomb rack. And if they were the bomb rack, my references say that they weren't always carried on every P-36. So I might have to address that later. Also, we have the wheel wells. And you can see here the detail that's molded into the wheel wells are kind of an odd shape. So again, most of us believe that that's canvas up inside the wheel wells. And that's fine, but here's the problem. None of my references have canvas inside the wheel wells. If you look here on this book, this is a P40. You can see that it has canvas up inside the wheel wells, and it attaches on the very top lip and goes down inside the bay. That's fine. But again, this is a P40, and even if that is correct, and the P36s had the ability to put canvas in the wheel wells, what they've molded still isn't correct. So I don't know what to do with it. So my first instinct was, since this does not look at all remotely like it does in my references, first instinct, take them out. Scratch build new ones. And I don't think that would be too hard to do, actually. I think it would be pretty easy to do. So what are you going to need? Well, you're going to need some styrene. And I have here this big sheet of styrene. I'll be able to slice that off and create something out of that, no problem. Also, we're going to have to go ahead and drill out all of this detail. So let's remove the wing off the sprue first, and let's go ahead and make sure we can get a good look at this, kind of move it around and figure out what we're going to have to do with it. And I'm a little skeptical, but I know I can build a wheel well before because I've done it for a P40 years ago. So let's get in on it. So I have my hobby knife here, and all I want to do is go down into the middle of one of these wheel wells. I don't know, let's just pick this one and go for it. And we're just going to bore a hole straight down through the center of the wheel well, and that shouldn't be that difficult to do. All right, cut that apart, bore that out, and all right, so we've got a little bit of a hole right in the center. Now we can use that hole as kind of a starting point, and we can kind of clip everything out with our sprue cutters. That's easier said than done, and plus when you're using sprue cutters, flush cuts, whatever you want to call them, when you're really in there and you're really clipping away, sometimes you have a potential of overstressing the material and hurting other sections. So what I recommend is this. This is a Dremel, plain old Dremel. This is a 2-speed Dremel, and I got to tell you, it's come in handy several times. I don't know how much it costs because I got it as a gift way back in the day, but it is a fantastic extra tool. So if you guys need a Dremel, I highly recommend you pick one up. This, like I said, is only a 2-speed, so you got a low and a high version, and we just got a cutting wheel in here, and we're just going to use it on low, and we're just going to slice these apart. And again, whether low or high is up to you. Keep in mind, if you use the high setting, you will end up melting plastic. So, just be careful. So let's go ahead and get on this here. Now I'm just going to zip away. I've got this fast motion right now for you guys because I don't want you guys to have to sit there and wait while I chop off a wheel well. And we're just going to take this down to pretty much bare plastic. And it shouldn't be that hard. Like I said, the Dremel should eat through it just like butter. It should be simple. Now we can go back in here and clean it up with the hobby knife. I want to clear out all the little extra spare melted plastic and all these little sections here and there. And yeah, it looks good. And then we can slice out the inside, making sure that it's as clean as possible. Also, you could use a sanding block like this here. Just kind of really get in there and bear down on it and remove the extra plastic. But I got a Dremel, guys, so I'm just going to use the Dremel on low setting again. And we're just going to use it to zip out those last few lingering parts of the plastic. And before you know it, guys, this is going to be great. This is going to come right out. It's going to be easy. Now we're going to take some sandpaper to it. And all we're going to do is just go over it, sand it down. That's it. Also, I think it's a good idea to have some jeweler files. So I have a semi-rounded jeweler file. I think if I use this, I should be able to get in there and clean up around the edges, and that should be just fine as well. So really, we're just going to take off any burrs, any rough spots. We're going to take down the wheel well sides. We're going to get the existing wheel well out of there, and we're going to open it up to a new scratch built wheel well. And again, I mean, not everyone has to do this. I mean, the kit, it's fine, but again, I want it to be as representative of an actual aircraft that I can see in my references as possible. As you can see here, the wheel well is actually boxed in. The side walls are drilled out. There's a few holes in each of the side wall, and there is cross members running across there as well. So that's fine. We should be able to get that done with just some stripped styrene. So let's go ahead and get cracking. All right, guys, this is my sheet of styrene, and we're going to just use some scissors and just cut a section out of it because we don't have to get too fancy. So just grab my scissors, and we're just going to take off a nice little chunk of this. This is fine right here. I'm not too worried about the straightness of the line because, well, we're going to use sections of it. And I'm going to basically use this and build front, side, back, and next side. So once that's built, then we put a top on top of it and run the cross members across it. And that's it. So it sounds simple. Wish me luck. Cross your fingers. Let's see what I can come up with. All right, so what I'm doing here is I'm just slicing sections of styrene off of my strip that I cut off the sheet. And we're just going to be real ginger with it. We're going to take off a nice little chunk, and we're going to use this as the front of the wheel well box. A little bit of super glue would be great here. I don't have any currently, so I'm going to use some plastic welder and some Tamiya Extra Thin, and that should be fine. Tamiya Extra Thin cement is going to be perfect for this application. It's going to go ahead and flow into the parts where it needs it, and I'm just going to be careful. Yeah, we should be fine. Making sure this is nice and secure. I don't want it coming apart because I'm going to have to come back after it's dry and drill holes through it. So we also have a few other pieces, and we're going to just build them in slowly, just bit by bit, piece by piece. Get the side walls built now. Drop a little extra thin cement on it, and that should be good. All right, I love this extra thin cement. It's fantastic. I was looking pretty good. All right, so I've thrown the back section in, and I've built the top section. And as you can see here, they're just cross members. That's all it is. And they're just strips of styrene that I cut and glued down from right to left, and tried to replicate as close as I could to what the pictures of my reference looks like. Is it better? Well, I think so. I can get you a closer look of it here. As you can see, they're just cross members, and that's the old, and this is the new. I prefer the new look. Okay, so now we got to come in. We have to do some detail work. I want to go ahead and drill in a few holes on each of the sidewalls because that's what they have in the picture. So I'm going to go ahead and take my pin vise and I'm going to chuck a drill bit into there. That should be just fine. Go ahead and screw it down. All right. And what we're going to do is we are just going to drill 3 holes in the front of the bulkhead or the sidewall, whatever you want to call it. And we're going to then drill 2 on each side and 3 in the back. And I think that should be just what we need. Again, I'm being very careful here. I don't want to drill too much. I don't want to come through and destroy the inner detail. There we go. So that's not too bad. Note to self, and anyone who would maybe try this mod, do this before you assemble the sidewalls because it'd be a lot easier that way. But it does require a little bit more measuring, and I kind of eyed this, so I didn't really measure it too thoroughly. But, you know, to each their own, right? Doesn't have to be perfect, just has to be passable. All right, everybody, so I have drilled out my holes here in the different areas, and let me zoom in here and show you what we have. So here we go. You can see there's some holes in there. They're okay. They're not perfect, but they're okay. I have a couple holes on each side and the back as well. And I think that's going to work fine, you know. It's pretty decent. So now I'm going to do the other side. So I'll go ahead and pause it for you here, and we'll come back. I'll show you what I got. All right, guys. So here we are. I have completed both of the wheel sets, and I got to tell you, they turned out decent. I mean, I can't complain. It's not perfect, but, you know, it looks the part. Let me go ahead and zoom in and show you what they look like. Again, you know, they're not exactly 100% accurate. They're, I think, closer than the canvas for me, at least. I just wanted to do something different and something to make it a bit more exciting, and I think this is a perfect way to do it. Wasn't too difficult, really. So the sides of the fuselage, when they go together, should fit just right in between these 2 wings, and these wheel well boxes that I've built shouldn't interfere with the connection between the fuselage and the wings. And from dry fitting, it looks fine. Once we get the cockpit floor in there, we might have a few more problems, but if so, I can just slice this off with a flush cut or with an X-Acto knife, and it shouldn't be any problem whatsoever. Like I said, just quick snip, and you're good to go. Also, here is the cockpit, and I have airbrushed that a silver color. Did that while the other parts were drying. So yeah, we're just gonna let that dry, let the other sections dry, and that's it. That's all we can really do. So I want to get on to one more thing, and that is the instrument panel. I want to go ahead and get that painted. So I'm going to mix up some paint, and I'll be right back. Okay, I've masked it off. I've taped it to a little bit of a scrap piece of paper, and I'm just going to airbrush it a flat black. So that's what we got so far, guys. Next time, we're going to come back, and we're going to attempt to get these all mounted up. We are going to try to get the cockpit finished. I want to go ahead and give that interior section a nice wash, maybe with some pigments or something like that, and maybe some oils. I also want to figure out if I can't maybe cut the floor of the control panel, try to get some trenches cut into there. I think that might spruce up the joint a little bit. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you back here next time on Ben Builds Season 3, Build Day number 3. Thank you so much, guys. We'll see you soon.